What's up, guys? This is ByzantineFalcon, and today we are on Siegfried Line. Standard battle. The Greens have taken the southern spawn. The Reds have taken the northern spawn. We are in the Freedom. I mean Midnight Joker. Moving on. With a tank such as this, you really need to push the city because it's just, too vulnerable to any artillery if you kind of go mid or, say, for example, left flank. But then again, this tank doesn't really have the agility, the mobility, what have you, to push the left flank because there's not really a whole lot for it to go as far as the speed is concerned. In other words, it takes too long for it to get to a given location when your mediums and your lights are going to be there far sooner. Now, guys, if you do not know what the Freedom of the Super Pershing is, it is essentially your standard tank that has had armor just bolted onto it. That being said, the engine is not upgraded at all. Now, what you have is a very, very tough tank. This, particular vehicle actually has very formidable spaced armor versus, say, for example, your German spaced armor at tier 5, which is kind of like a joke. It weighs in at like 5 millimeters. It's extremely weak. Now, guys, this tank, the Freedom Super Pershing, whatever you want to call it, is your typical American tank. You do not want to angle it because the armor on the side of this tank is very, very thin. As a matter of fact, if you will check out my weak spot guide to the Super Pershing, you will find out exactly how thin it is. Now, this tank, it can be easily penetrated. The downside is, of course, at range, the probability of you, penetrating this tank is very, very low, and that's just simply because it's harder to hit the weak spots at a given range. Now, this thing will block some serious rounds if it hits the spaced armor. Now, the penetration on this gun is kind of low. It's not necessarily, it's actually a bit lower than the Type 59s. That being said, it's, I don't know, it feels like a better gun, say for example, than the Type 59. But the penetration is a little lacking. I know a lot of people run nothing but APCR on this bad boy to kind of make up for the fact that the penetration is a little lackluster. And you know what? You're gonna find that. The French tanks, though, that being said, do tend to have very, very high penetration at tier 8. FCM50T, your CDC, run at 212 millimeters of penetration, which is nothing short of amazing. If you can make money with a Super Pershing and run nothing but APCR, imagine what you can do with a tank that already has excellent penetration. It's more or less a money-making machine, but you know what? This video isn't about them. It's about the Super Pershing. So what we're going to do is we are going to focus on what this tank does well, and that is armor. This thing is a face-hugging machine if your opponent does not know where to shoot. Granted, if you do the Super Pershing shuffle, which is kind of rock back and forth, you are going to be fine. It kind of, gives the enemy a little bit to think about when he's targeting your weak spots. Put a round right there into the back of the T-28 Prot's turret, but that's okay. We're moving on here. And now, if you look at the top of the screen right there, we're doing kind of well on the Reds. We've kind of whittled them down almost to half. And the location I'm in, I have yet to be hit by Arty, so I feel I am more or less playing clicker safe. Now, this tank in particular, if you have not watched the weak spot guide video, I would just give you a couple of pointers as a Freedom/Super P operator on what to do exactly where your weak spots lie. Essentially anywhere the spaced armor isn't. The turret ring is a very good location to be shot in, as well as the commander hatch. Also, the cheeks of the turret right under is spaced armor. You wouldn't necessarily think the cheeks of any turret, let alone an American turret, would be a weak spot, but then again you would be wrong, because the Super Pershing does in fact have a weak spot there. Moving on, essentially we are in mop-up mode. Get all the damage you can before the game ends. Took a round right there, ended up bouncing it. More or less bad luck for that gentleman right there, because he had a good shot at the side of our particular vehicle and he managed to pull a bounce. Poor guy. You know what? It happens to everybody. Everybody's going to bounce rounds at some point, guys, so don't feel bad. So we're kind of on the prowl for the clicker, as well as this last guy right here. And guys, you have to be very careful when you're taking out the last remaining tank, that the clicker doesn't just kind of sneak up on you and drop a round on you. It's bound to happen. It's definitely happened before, so just make sure to be cautious. Got a guy right here just trying to get out of dodge. It's not really happening for him. He's kind of giving up the side. And guys, in this particular case, you want to shoot to the left and right of the mantlet. If you do so, more often than not, you will get a penetration. The front of this particular beast right here is very, very tough. The T-28 Krot is a tough tank. As you can see, I connected with the left of the gun mantlet there. And right here, I'm going to try to sneak one in as a commander hatch, and it just wasn't happening. But you know what? Every now and again, you've got to make a Hail Mary shot. In a really good position there. I couldn't personally get a shot at him, but you know what? Somebody did. Now we're just going to finish off the clicker, who it looks like is trying to push up for a ninja cap. You know what? Bravo to you, sir, I say, because it would be the perfect time, because all of our forces were drawn out trying to get rid of that next to last guy, and then this guy's going to come in and go for the ninja cap. But he was killed by our own clicker. So, you know, you can't fault the man for trying. So we had a fairly good game. 2367, 971 assists, blocked 1430. Guys, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Check the description below. We'll see you guys next time.